Hey, I'm Fabi from Bau-Woodworks, and today I show you how you make perfect Kumiko strips and the grid pieces straight off the table saw without a fuzzy hand planing jig. So let's get to it. I start by jointing a 52mm board of whitewood, also known as yellow poplar. If you want to know why I chose whitewood, just go over to my website. I have the link in my description, and there you can see why I choose which wood. I also joined one edge of the board because that makes it so much easier to resaw. Since I want to end up with 8mm stock, I resaw it to 10mm and have a little bit of room if the blade starts to drift. If you want to know more about resawing, let me know in the comment section below. I will be happy to make a video for you about how to resaw. Then I clean up the bandsaw face of the remaining board on the jointer and go for another cut at the bandsaw. Time for the big transformation. Now I plane down the board step by step to 8mm. Time to cut the grid. I use this simple jig to cut the grid pieces. It has this small key you register the board against, make the cut, and then move over the notch to the key and make another cut. The small pin has to be less than 4mm high. If you don't have a fancy sliding table saw, you can just screw the jig to your miter gauge. The distance between the pin and the blade will be the size of the square later in your grid. I set my blade a hair over half of the height of my stock. And make a few test cuts until it fits nicely. A digital caliper really makes that process so much easier. Now I can make the cuts into my actual stock. When I advance the board, I really make sure it fits all the way over the pin. Otherwise, the cut will be too shallow. By the way, I find it easier to make the grid cuts into the board rather than making them into the finished strips. Okay, let's cut the strips. Therefore, I use this jig to make some kind of a zero clearance insert. Basically, it's just a piece of plywood with a curve cut into it and a small piece of wood that has the same thickness as the blade taped into the curve at the end. This jig also helps me to align my fence. Now the strips have to be exactly the same width as the table saw blade you use. And use this push stick with a small hook at the end. The blade I use is a 48 teeth combination blade. I found that it gives me a way cleaner surface than a ripping blade with less teeth. After a test cut, I checked the fit. When the strip fits into the curve of the blade, but doesn't come out when you shake it, it's perfect. After each cut, I head over to the jointer and clean up the edge. There you go, perfect strips. I use the same jig as before to cut the grid pieces to length. Absolutely no gaps. In order to cut the infill pieces to the raft size, I like to tape a bunch of strips together. That makes it much faster than making every single cut on its own. Oh, I like this shot so much, how the small pieces just pop away from the table saw blade. Even making a few hundred pieces is no problem with that method. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in making one of these two patterns, I'm gonna provide the link somewhere up here for you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. More cool videos are about to come, and the next one is gonna be about how to make dovetails on the table saw. So, see you next time.